Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your host, Ty Christensen. Who's the little girl? I don't know if that's actually the quote. And we've got Jordan Christensen on the pod.
Never said in the movie, but...
Sorry, that music, it just felt like, it's kind of jarring. I'm like, whoa, what?
It reminded me of Swiss Army Man.
Yeah.
Bada-bum, bada-bum.
Sounds like the reaction that the Asian dude had when he's like, "Oh, you texted me from the future." Is he Chinese or is he Japanese?
He's Chinese.
Maybe he's Chinese.
He's Chinese.
Oh, you texted me from the future. And we got Cameron Mickle on the podcast.
I was debating between... And then my actual quote is, dude, that's such a freaking cool sound. You can, trust me, you can still understand language and end up single.
In case nobody knows, Cameron just dabbed.
And no, in case anyone knows, Cameron is the only single person on this podcast. And we've got Grant Mickle on the pod.
You mean unmarried, he's not single.
That was the most disturbing sound I just ever heard in my life.
I know. Dude, the music in this movie is eerie.
Everyone's quote is like trying to make the vocals
Imitations
like
of the
sounds
sound.
from the music. Oh my gosh, Denis Villeneuve's
No,
rolling,
mine was an actual quote.
rolling in his tossing and turning, thinking about these guys reviewing his movie on the podcast. I have no idea. We're weighing in over our depth. That's why we brought on Elise Mickle.
Well, Jordan kind of stole mine, but no.
I should have done the Tweety Bird thing. Tweet, tweet, tweet.
Guys, today we're discussing Arrival. This movie came out in 2016. It's directed by Denis Villeneuve. Its writers were Eric Heiser and Ted Chiang. It's based on the story of your life, which I looked into a little bit. Pretty interesting. It stars Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, Forrest Whitaker, and a few other no-name actors.
Ty, when he said, "Do you dream in the language?" did that remind you of your mission? I had so many dreams of like either forgetting learning Spanish or dreaming about forgetting all that I had learned. It's just... Yeah.
No, the worst is the dreams where you're back on the mission.
Yes.
We call those nightmares, Cameron. So,
I wake up and I'm like,
oh, I'm in a cold sweat. My goodness, I thought I was
diarrhea.
back on my mission.
I haven't pooped my pants.
I live back in my first world country, safe at home. Oh my goodness, guys, let's talk about this movie. What was it like watching this movie for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast? Let's start with you, Grant.
I don't know if I saw this in the theaters for the first time or not. I can't remember.
It's like, I don't know if I've seen this movie.
That wouldn't be the first time.
What movie were we talking about? No. And then I've seen it once or twice since the first time I've seen it. And I think it's a really rewatchable movie. It's really good. It's kind of like the whole reveal stuff.
Grant's like, I've only seen it once, and it's very rewatchable.
No, I've definitely seen it twice because I remember watching it the second time, like knowing
Yesterday?
the reveal. We watched it last weekend, okay?
I remember watching it a second time many years ago.
No. And it's just like cool because knowing the twist at the end, kind of like the same thing with like every other movie, like Get Out, knowing the end, like really you see all the details throughout the movie that hint, because it's cool how it like hints that the girl died in the past, but then it's all like showing the future, which is really cool.
Wait, you mean she died in the future, but...
And can we give a shout out? I'm pretty sure that's the bald girl from Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. I'm pretty sure they used the same girl from it. If you look real close, I'm pretty sure it's her.
Really?
Yeah!
Might want to look that up.
The actress?
She looks really young though.
8-year-old or the 12-year-old?
The 12-year, just when she's on the hospital bed dying.
Julia Scarlett Dan. Let's look at her resume. She's known for Arrival, Helix, This Life, Game On. I don't see any Me Girl in the Dying Girl.
No, not the 12, not the 12-year-old one. It's when it's just when she's in the bed, bald.
Well, that's
Cameron's
the
like,
oldest
all
that
bald
the kid
girls look the
gets.
same.
Yeah, I know. Cameron just thinks all bald chemotherapy patients look alike. And he's like, oh, bald woman. Probably had the same bald woman playing in that movie.
Yeah, hopefully your future wife doesn't have chemo, Cameron. You like approach another woman. You're like, I missed you. And she's like, I'm not your wife.
Well,
Well, I also hope that my wife doesn't have chemo on the fact of her getting cancer, but yeah, that too.
Cameron is dating women that are currently in the chemotherapy ward or something. Wow, that's really dark.
fudge.
That's not funny at all, but it'd be really funny if you were like, hey, so you coming around here often to get my chemotherapy? Cameron's the ultimate pickup artist. You're like, hey,
That's essentially what he did to me or on The Dying Girl.
hey, you're going.
That's what he said. He said,
I'll be
Tess,
your boyfriend.
man, I've been there.
That just seems like something sleazy. You mentioned Wedding Crashers before this podcast. I was just thinking that would be something that Will Ferrell's character would do.
Oh yeah, it goes to funerals.
Funerals, man. Yeah, he's like, I just go to cancer wards and fight people.
Oh, that would be
Yeah,
low
it's like-
because they're
it's like-
like, I'm gonna die, you know. So
You want to die alone? I'll be there with you. Mom, meatloaf. Elise Mickle, what was it like watching this movie for the first time, rewatching it for the pod?
Yeah, well, I've seen this movie so much that I don't remember exactly my thoughts when I first watched it, but I do remember being really confused at first, not gonna lie. I think the whole showing the daughter at the beginning and then showing her at the end, I got really confused. I was like, were there two daughters? Anyways, but the second time, I really noticed the cinematography. Like, I didn't notice before watching it, but I didn't realize how dim the lighting is through the whole movie. It's a pretty dark, not dark in a sense like depressing, but dark in the sense they didn't have a lot of bright lighting. And I hadn't noticed that before, and that was really interesting to me. I wonder why they chose to do that.
Watch Enemy and it'll be even darker. in more ways than one.
Yes. How about you, Cameron? What was it like watching it for the first time, rewatching it for the pod?
So the first time I watched this was before The Great Awakening, and I actually hated this movie. I thought this movie was so stupid. I thought this movie was like I was like, that made no sense. I didn't understand anything that happened. I was like, I hated that movie so much.
Cameron's like, what happened with the girl and cancer?
Yeah, bring back the
Those flashbacks, I don't understand.
No, yeah, I was lost. I was so dumb. Back
Cameron,
then.
don't worry. I
Still am.
I am very dumb too.
So I was so lost, and I didn't like I said, it was before The Great Awakening, so I didn't even like put in the effort to like go watch a video to try to help explain it. And so I just like accepted that movie was dumb and confusing. And then I got on my mission, and then one of my best friends, he in the MTC, he was like, we were talking about movies.
Favorite movie of all time? Arrival.
No,
right?
his favorite movie is Interstellar. He's
Oh,
the
okay.
one came on for Inglourious Matt Knudsen.
Oh, right on.
And he was talking, and he was just like, oh, I love, like, one of my favorite movies is Arrival.
I thought you said Blade Runner 2049 was his favorite.
Yeah, he goes back and forth between the two.
Look at Jordan with the fact check. Speaking of fact check, you thought that freaking what was the movie?
I
You
never
thought that the villain.
I just
Yes.
No,
You said
confused
he
him.
was from A Clockwork Orange.
Anyway.
From Midnight in Soho or Last Night in Soho. How dare you, Jordan?
He's not the same guy.
It's not the same guy. It doesn't matter.
Looks like him.
It does. They look a lot alike, actually. To your credit, just another creepy white guy. You know, they're all the same. You know, all the creepy white guys look the same. What were you saying, Kieran?
Anyway, and then he was like, oh, I love Arrival. And I was just like, dude, that movie is so dumb. And then he explained it to me, and my mind literally exploded. I was like, oh my gosh, that's from the future. And so it made me appreciate it a lot more.
From the
future?
From the future.
Future. I feel like Squidward. And then, but I didn't really truly appreciate it until rewatching it for the pod, and I was super stoked because it's been on my watch list to watch forever. And holy crap, dude, there's so many amazing parts about this movie, and it's it made my top 100. So, which was good because I had cut off so many of my list. I had 99, and I was like, I need a top 100 film, and then this just came in. I was like, I'll put that in the top. I think it's top 60.
Oh, now, okay, good. Because before I told you this is his highest Rotten Tomatoes of all Denis's films. This is his highest. And you were like, how is that possible? This can't be in his top 100. I mean, his top number one film.
I can tell you why, because the critics can really on this, dude. It's about the movie industry and film and the way we communicate through images and pictures. Anyway, I'm just saying.
I don't know.
Beautiful. Very meta film. Critics just sink their teeth into this kind of stuff.
What did critics think of Dune?
They say it can get slogged down with its slow beginning, but it makes up for it with the amazing spectacle and everything. But they got like 80%, I think, or 86 or something. But Cameron, you were finishing your thought?
No, yeah, that's just pretty much it. I loved it so much on the second watch. I was just so happy. Like, to watch it understanding, it just gives a whole nother appreciation, kind of similar to Prestige and other films like that, like kind of like Grant mentioned, and just picking up on the pieces. So it was sick.
I have to say, watching this the first time, I too, Cameron, am such an idiot. I have never watched one of Denis Villeneuve's movies and thought, yeah, I think I got
The first time around, yeah.
Yeah, never. In fact, I'm so dumb, even Prisoners, which is probably his most easy to understand, it still tripped me up because I was like, oh, both Paul Dano and the guy with the snakes were both victims. See, I didn't understand that. I got them confused sometimes. Because at the very end, it's like he's reunited with his parents. I'm like, oh, that's good, I guess. I'm like, wait, who is? Because I was like, I thought he shot himself in the police precinct. See, I literally got those two actors confused at the time. Paul Dano and what's-his-face, Polka Dot Man from Suicide Squad. They look so much alike. At least I think they do.
I'm an effing superhero.
I confused them for each other. So anyway, I was confused in Prisoners, so I'm an idiot. I watched this movie in theaters with Jordan and my wife Maddie, and I remember watching it being like, I was with Amy Adams when she's like, who's the girl? And I remember thinking, wait, what's the girl she's referring to? Because I didn't understand. I'm like, is she, like, I couldn't piece together, like, again, these were flash forwards, not flashbacks. But I was like, what other girl is she referring to? Like, I was like, have we seen any other girl in this movie? I'm like, obviously not. Denis Villeneuve at that moment is making the reveal that, you know, this is a premonition for future events rather than recall of the past, which I really liked. So, but I'm so dumb. I was in the theater and Jordan and Maddie had to explain it to me. I'm like, oh, okay, got it.
I understand.
And I'm just like, I am so dumb, yeah. I'm like, wow, I didn't get it. But anyway, that's all of Denis' films, like Blade Runner, Enemy, which we'll probably talk about. Yeah, it's like, I don't even understand what I'm watching here.
Yeah, I hope. We literally scheduled to talk about it.
I mean, we'll probably
talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to tease it. I don't know. I guess.
Road work ahead. I sure hope it does.
We're definitely talking about it. I just, you know, for the listeners to be like, oh, what's out? What's coming out next week? You know.
Spoiler.
Anyway. Yeah, spoiler. We're definitely talking about Enemy. I'm pleasantly surprised rewatching it because I actually have a love-hate relationship with alien invasion movies. Like, I cornily and kind of ironically like Independence Day, and I kind of like War of the Worlds Beginning, but it's just such a big letdown by the end.
Wait, Ty, why? You've never told us before ever why you don't like the end of World of the World.
Oh, it's because of the people alien and the bacteria. And again, I know that's in the book and it's fine. It's just so anticlimactic. And it's like, I don't know what it's saying.
He was totally joking.
Did I really mention this before on the pod? I know I talked to you guys about it.
At least 2 times.
Really?
Grant doesn't listen to our podcasts anyway, so. He's not a reliable source.
I think invasion movies can be really dumb, but what I really liked about this is, like, I don't know. It was exciting to see from the element of, like, understanding language and understanding time. Trying to communicate to, like, beings that, I mean, they don't even have eyeballs. It's just like a floating 6-7 fingered hand. It just subverted my expectations.
Dude, it's the master hand from Super Smash. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it comes in and just starts smacking them around in that little room that they had there. Anyway, it subverted my expectations, and the visuals very simple, but they were very compelling. Like the big wide screen, you know, like basically like a TV screen, or, you know, like I said, that's the meta element of this movie. It's like understanding film and how directors can manipulate your sense of time in movies. And I'm like, I loved that aspect of it.
Cool.
So rewatching it again is really cool. So I definitely liked it on rewatch, which surprised me because I thought, knowing the surprise, I'm like, oh, these are all flash forwards. I'm not an idiot. And then I watched them, like, I was pleasantly surprised. I really like this movie, even knowing the twist, because the drama works really well. And then, like, even the stakes feel really real. It's like, oh my gosh, China, Russia, everyone's like blacking out their screens, and it was really fun on rewatch.
Yeah, I know, right? And then the Russian killing all their people after watching Chernobyl, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, anyone that figured out the information, see you later.
Yeah. That's right. Yep. Just pull the plug. Everyone gets a gun to the back of the head. Jordan, how about you, man? Watching it for the first time, rewatching it for the pod.
This one, when I had seen a trailer or something or an image of it, and I'm like, another woman empowerment movie. And then my buddy Sebastian, who was on the
starring Amy Adams.
Well,
dude,
no,
I
but then
hated Amy Adams before this in Nocturnal Animals.
No, I actually liked her a lot. Ella
I
Enchanted
hated
or
her.
Ella? No, Enchanted.
Yeah.
She's really good in Enchanted.
Ella Enchanted, that's what's her name.
No, I know. I was
Catwoman.
talking. I said Enchanted.
I know. I'm just saying. I'll just say the fact.
Okay, well, anyway, so Sebastian and his wife recommended it to me. Shelby, who was on Scream, they both said, like, oh, it's a really, like, thought-provoking film. So I went and saw it at the Dollar Theater, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I went back, and I'm like, Ty, you had to see this. So I went and saw it again with Ty, and then I watched it with my roommate, so I watched it 3 times in the theater. Third time was a bit much. I was like, I probably should have given my head, like, a little bit time to process everything I'd just seen. But it was really fun, like you guys had said, coming in it again and again. And I feel like even this time I'd learned some new things that I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I get it now. Which, you know, I still feel like there's so much more to think about, but it really, I feel like, improves on a rewatch. Same thing with, like, Ty and you guys had mentioned, any of Denis' films, the first time watching it, like Prisoners, Enemy, and this, I did not understand at all. So this was my third of Denis' films, and then I went back and rewatched all his movies because of this movie, because I just love this movie so much.
It's great. So why don't you share two of your favorite things, Grant and Elise?
Two favorite things. I did love the soundtrack. I thought it just encapsulated the alien feel really well. And I also think the idea of like language and time together was really powerful because I think they really hit spot on for anyone who has learned another language. You notice how the way you think starts to change because of the language that you're learning. And I thought it was really cool that they took that same concept and they applied it to time. And that was just, I think, like Ty was saying, it was just really mind-blowing to me. And I really enjoyed that. So that was one of my favorite things of this movie.
It's great. I love that. Grant, how about you? Two of your favorite things?
Well, kind of the same thing with that. So I'll just share one other thing that I really like. I love the scale of like the spaceships that come. Like, he makes it seem like it's an actual, like it's a whole new world and planet that's coming to them. So I love how he, like, shows that through...
Did you take a picture of it, Grant?
What?
Did you take a screenshot of it?
Oh, no.
Like, every time I walk up on him playing Spider-Man, he's like, dude, look at the sunset right now. I'm like, it's Spider-Man, go beat up some villains. What the fudge is wrong with you?
I do love
Look at
visuals,
that
okay?
beautiful sunset. That is great.
So-
I love it, Grant. Hey, stop and smell the roses, right? Even if they're digital, right?
So, and with that, just like comes the I love the reactions that Amy Adams and Hawkeye's character.
Oh my gosh,
Jeremy
Jeremy Renner.
Yeah,
know his
Jeremy
name.
Renner.
He's
Yeah,
an
what the
A-lister
fuck?
now.
Show some
right?
respect.
Show some respect,
Hawkeye's
bro.
character.
Jeremy
Hawkeye.
Renner. Whatever.
Yeah, wasn't he in this movie shooting arrows at the aliens? or
See, that's
something?
what's funny is my roommate said the same thing. He was like, "Oh, it's Amy Adams and Hawkeye." And I was like, "Gosh, dang it, yes, Jeremy Renner."
I'm trying to remember who it was. Maybe it was Earthling Cinema that did a video on this, and he's like, he ended up leaving his wife Amy Adams to go fight with the Avengers or something like that. It made me laugh so hard. I was like, that was so funny. Like,
That's really funny.
different movies, but it made me laugh
Had
because
his
they're like
second,
aliens
his second family in the woods.
too. Yeah, it turns out that the aliens from the Avengers weren't as friendly and willing to talk as these ones in Arrival were. So
Oh, that's funny. So I just love
great.
their reactions of like going in the first time, because a lot of times like when it's involved with the army, they're kind of just like no one's scared. It's all just like, okay, what do we do? How do we attack? You know, I just love that they have like natural reactions that if we were the ones like meeting an alien, we would be so freaked out and like, you know, we would be so confused, especially with like the gravity shift like that. They did such a cool scene with that. It's just really well done.
yeah, on that forklift or whatever, just like floating up into the air and
Jeremy
then
Renner just absolutely eating shiz.
jumping off, falling on his face. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I was worried about them like not being able to breathe or something. Like I always worry about that scene in any alien movie. I'm like, look out for the littlest alien because it always creeps in the suit and it always like eats you or infects
I
you
wonder
or
why
gets
did
under
it
your
work
skin.
so well in this and not Prometheus? Because when they took off their mask in Prometheus, and you're like, you're dumb. But in this movie, you're like, oh yeah, like she needs to communicate to them. Like I don't know, he just did it right.
yeah, that's true.
Well, it's just that natural wonder and curiosity. Like it does pique your curiosity, and you're like, that seems like a very natural reaction. Even though you're probably like, it was pretty reckless.
Yeah.
But in the end,
I mean, but she was looking at the bird, and you're like, well, the bird can breathe. Like
Right.
maybe I'll be okay.
and then you know, next day her insides are melting because of radiation or
Yeah.
something. She's that guy in Chernobyl.
Especially when she went in the room with it and the smoke is all around her.
Yeah,
I just
that's-
imagined if that commander guy that was like constant, oh my gosh, if there was ever a commander that is more annoying than this guy, he's perfect for that.
Colonel Weber? Dude, I
Yes.
love Forrest Whitaker.
Like,
He did a great job.
He was perfect, but I just pictured him in the room. Remember when the gas like stuff was, the smoke was filling up in the room? I just pictured him being like, they're trying to kill us, poisonous gas.
right. Yeah.
Does this remind
Yeah.
anyone else of Monsters vs. Aliens?
Monsters versus
I'm trying to think what.
Like the alien spaceships, I just thought that was like the exact same shape as the
that big
except they weren't
robot or
floating.
whatever they send.
Oh
but
yeah,
like
it does
before
look
it's
like
like
a
in the
robot, yeah.
egg, and so that's the
Like a
first
big
time I saw
pill,
it.
yeah.
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 And then
I
the
guess.
general.
But to give them a little more credit, I don't know. I think the design was kind of cool and sleek. It's
I
kind of
loved it.
unforgettable, like a giant obelisk. I think it's really cool. You know, like just this floating egg. It's really ominous. I love that shot when they're flying the helicopters in. So I'll just get right into two of my favorite things. I don't want to take them from you, Cam, but I love the visuals. I think that the settings or where they're set are really cool. Like there's 12 of them all over the earth. And this is my nerdy. Anytime I hear the word 12, there's a lot of significance for that number.
I was like, the
particularly
apostles.
in the church. Yeah, the 12 apostles that Christ anointed. What's really cool is they have to understand this language to save mankind. So if you think about it, these 12 pods were essentially the disciples trying to give the truth to
Who was
humankind.
Jesus then,
And a
Ty?
lot of people,
Amy
who's
Adams?
Jesus? Well, it's Amy Adams, woman empowerment, you know, because she transcends below them all, right, or whatever. She ends up in a white room, completely.
Or Ty, if you asked that lady in
exalted,
charge
right?
of Disney, she would say, "God is a woman." like she said, the Force is a woman.
That was not Amy Adams. That was freaking
No.
Kathleen Kennedy.
I know, that's
You
what I'm
said
talking
the
about.
Disney lady.
I said the Disney lady.
I thought you said if she worked with Disney, she would be all for the women empowerment versus female thing.
No, I'm saying if you asked her, she would tell you. Anyways,
Get it? Yeah.
my jokes aren't landing with you because you're not listening. I get it.
I'm not listening very good. I got some dust mites in my ear or something. So I really like that. So yeah, the imagery and then meets the symbolism and the metaphors really, really hit home for me. Cameron, how about you?
I love the framing in this film. It's just so it's just done so well. I just love how like the proportions into his shots is like wide shots, then also
Yes,
just like every
wide.
single scene. Like the most sad. I felt like Grant. I was about to screenshot when that first time they walk into the room and they're upside down. I was just like, oh, this is so beautiful. Oh, I just want to cry. And
They're like
there's just so much-
silhouettes behind the screen.
What?
Is that the one you were talking about?
No, I'm talking about when it's upside down.
Like, well, that was an
Yeah.
actual set, Cameron, and and all that was a giant light behind. I mean, that they were standing in front of. It's so
Really?
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not sure what movie I watched, but
No, but they're standing in front of the white screen, and then it's showing them upside down, and all you see is
Yes.
their silhouettes.
yeah, I mean you see them.
Yeah,
Wait, Cameron, do you know what a
Do you know what a
silhouette
I know what a
is?
silhouette is. I know it's not a shadow, and I know
But
it's literally their body.
but they're not
form.
completely
It's just their
black.
pro-
Like you
Well,
see,
yes, but it's
I
just
can
their
still see his
profile.
face. Then it's not. Then it's not a
oh my
silhouette.
gosh. Anyways,
Grant,
just
you
keep going,
fancy
dude.
artist using your stupid artist vocabulary. We're a bunch of on the pod. You have to simple it down for us a little bit, all right? Simplify. In layman's terms, what Grant is saying, them standing in front of the light look pretty, right, Cameron? Is there anything else I missed?
Yeah, that was exactly
Great.
right. So
Big light, pretty shot. But the
this is
cavemen.
the reason, Ty, that you're kind of talking about why this film works, and Jordan, like kind of your question, like why this works better. I think also just the framing and just like the positioning of them, their faces, their reactions is just like, it's just so perfect. It just like it lures you in and draws you in. It kind of reminds me of like The Shining with how Stanley Kubrick does it.
well, and only telling us what we need to know,
Just
right?
don't get too close. You're going to get that ink on your clothes, Cam.
Yeah, for real. I inked. And
Did anyone get a tattoo? I just want to know. Did someone get a tattoo of this movie of like a circle on their chest of like mimicking the alien speak or whatever? I just thought that'd be a cool tattoo. If I got one, it'd probably be that.
I have that as a wallpaper at the
Well,
time.
and you know how they came up with the idea, Ty? Somebody had a drink and they left they lifted up their cup and there was like a ring.
of liquid. Thing.
Yeah.
So that they could communicate through aliens if they were drunk. Oh my gosh, we're talking about World's End again. Okay, so what were you saying, Cam?
No, he's talking about coffee, but close.
Well, I know, but if you're drunk,
But yeah, you
I
were
got your
drunk.
joke, Ty.
yeah, you got my reference.
Dad jokes here. All right.
Anyway,
That's right.
my second favorite thing is just like after I watched like a couple essays just because I wanted to appreciate it even that much more, and I thought it was super cool. They talked about how like a Hitchcockian theory of how he teaches.
Nerd Writer has an amazing video, by the way.
I think you offended Cameron with the Nerd Writer reference. There.
Sorry.
What?
You cut out.
Okay, yeah. Well, anyway, it's a Hitchcockian. He talked about the Hitchcockian thing, which explains the fact that like if you show somebody certain information and then you show the next scene, they'll just assume and like assimilate what happened previously to what is happening now. And so the fact that they showed you the first scene first and then the second scene, you assume that the first scene came before it because we're assuming that it came in chronological order.
I love that.
And so he just teaches, and the video explains how there's a lot of times like Hitchcock talks about how like he would show a picture of like a lady, like how she's dressed like at the beach, and then show a picture of a guy smiling, and like and then he showed one of a girl in a more skimpy outfit, and then him smiling, and he said this portrays a nice old man because you're associating with the picture before. It was the exact same picture of a video of him, and then the other one was like with the girl in more skimpy clothes, and then it portrays him as a pervert. And so it talks about how our brain assimilates and connects certain things that are completely like unrelated because of like what just happened. So anyway, that's a whole complicated thing, but I just think it's super interesting.
Well,
like,
I think that's from an old movie called F for Fake. Isn't that what it's from?
That
I'm not
wasn't
sure.
Hitchcock.
Yeah,
that was
That was Orson Welles.
Orson Welles, yeah,
But I'm pretty sure Orson Welles took a lot from Hitchcock anyways.
for sure.
Yeah, anyway, but I just think it's such an interesting idea of like kind of I feel like that's how we feel too, of like we associate feelings a lot of times with certain things, because I've seen that with people, of like people who meet people on the mission or like have certain experiences and they associate the two together. They're like, oh, I'm feeling these good things because of that person. And it's like, no, that's just because of the previous feelings. I don't know. I just think it's a super interesting concept to like talk about like previous things affecting how you're currently feeling in like the future.
That's great. That's as interesting as Rosebud. Jordan, what are your two favorite things?
I loved Denis creates an atmosphere that I think is perfect for this movie. I love feeling a lot of realism because in so many sci-fi films, I'm like, oh boy, this is like kind of ridiculous. But
I'm talking about lasers that blow you up out of your clothes. War of the Worlds.
yeah, I mean, just, and the clothes are still there. I got the same vibe that I got from Contagion, where it's like, this is what we would probably do if aliens landed. And it's so fascinating. I love just like how...
We would try to land a date with Matt Damon's daughter. That's all I remember from Contagion. Is that what people do? I don't remember.
Anyways, it's super accurate. And so I just think it's very fascinating. Like, it's a subject I don't know a lot about. I mean, clearly, you listen to the way I speak. And oh, that's something I figured out this time listening to the movie. Are we to believe and understand that she could see the future and past before anybody else? Because remember, she was having those visions before. Is the fact that she could see it is because
learning the language.
She understands language, huh?
Because I think from learning the aliens' language, correct?
Oh, okay. So it wasn't till she learned aliens' language, or are we to believe that she could kind of already start to see the future because that's always been her gift, because she has a gift with languages, and like that's just something she's always been gifted with.
I think it was just from learn. I think it's from. That's why I think it said the gift or the tool or the weapon of time. I think that it's when the more you learn, kind of like Elise was talking about, how you think differently when you learn a language. I think when you learn this language, it helps you perceive time like not linear.
Yeah, that was what I got too.
But as a circle, as a ring.
Which, however the fudge that works.
Right, as a ring, right? Beginning and end, you understand, see
well,
everything.
I mean, it's because our brains can't comprehend it. I mean, we're to believe that there's an eternity after this, you know, coming from our religion. So it's this idea that it's like too hard to grasp.
Yeah.
So just don't think about it. Just
like
say your
cool
prayers,
thing,
take it on faith.
Jordan, like a thing I heard that like blew my mind, kind of about infinity. It said whatever number you write down is closer to zero than it is infinity. And I was like, what the fudge?
Well, I just love the idea that maybe there is no perception of time.
That's really interesting, Cameron. I like that thought exercise, because I was just thinking it in my head. I'm just imagining like a one, millions of zeros, and then it's like that's still closer to zero than it is to infinity. I'm like, oh, that is a big number. I could use that in my bank account. I'll tell you that much.
Jordan, real quick, to kind of go along with what you're saying about the atmosphere. I think he does such a good job of like show don't tell, because a lot of movies, especially with like End of the World, they try to show you like the news of like, look at all the crazy stuff happening. But like, I love it. You just show what's happening in Amy Adams' classroom, and then her like leaving the parking lot, people crashing into each other, people starting to act just like a little bit,
and then airplanes flying over.
Yeah, it's like just a little bit of like irrational, and people are like overreacting about stuff just sets the tone really well.
Children of Men does that really well too. Like things going around him while he's just walking the streets. It's great.
Very nice. Very nice. Do you guys have any nitpicks with this movie?
Wait, really quick. Elise had a really interesting idea, because I was like, is she seeing into the future? And then Elise had a different idea.
Oh, yeah,
she is the future.
We were talking about this. Yeah, we were talking about this. At first, I thought she could just see the future, and that was influencing her behavior. But then I remembered that scene where the Chinese guy tells her his phone number and like the thing that she said that his dying wife said to him, and she reacts as though she's never heard it before. And I was like, that makes it seem like she's experiencing it for the first time. Like she didn't realize that in that moment that she'd called him in the past.
Yeah.
And so I kind of was like, I wonder if she's not only like seeing the future, but she's actually experiencing the future. Like she's no longer living time linearly anymore.
Simultaneously.
Yeah.
That is really cool. See, because I actually hadn't made that connection myself either, because I always understood it. Maybe she had forgotten it, but it's like, oh, I forgot the one time that I saved all of humanity. In the singular event, it's like, oh, this is that moment where I saved mankind at this cocktail party. You know, like, no.
It's almost like this movie's like Donnie Darko. Where time isn't linear.
Oh, I love it, Cameron. I'm not afraid anymore. I'll go talk to the aliens.
It's such a fun concept, though, the idea that, and like incorporating that with the whole circle idea, like it's like they communicate through symbols, and like I just love that idea. What?
Oh, go keep going, Jordan.
No, just I kind of don't know where I'm going with this. I just love it.
I'd like to say something about circle.
He's stuck in the circle, okay?
Like, it's not necessarily a nitpick. It's just like,
Circle of life.
it's just like, I don't even understand, like, my brain can't even process. It's just like, I don't understand how people came up with words for things. That's why I can't understand how you can just like learn and like understand a language.
Cameron, if aliens arrive on the planet, I'm going to put you up on that forklift and be like, you go talk to them.
I'm just going to be up there. I'm like,
freaking fudge.
what the fudge are you guys saying?
What the fudge?
I'd be confused.
Like, they want me to get my ears pierced. They keep putting up all these rings up on the other land.
And I understand, like, they have like the computers to try to like do association and correlation with certain like little fragments and shiz. But still, even that, I'm like, how the F do you not, like, for example, when they gave the first two things, I'm like, how do you not know that they're saying, oh, you're boy, you're girl, instead of saying, oh, you're human? Like, they're like, oh, this is the symbol for human. I'm like, how do we know that's not the symbol for I want to murder you and take over your planet?
What if they're just saying, what?
Yeah, exactly like the story that
human.
exactly like the story that she told, which she later said wasn't true, but like
The kangaroo,
the people were saying, oh, kangaroo, and they're like, oh yeah, see, they understand that that's a kangaroo, when really in their language it means like I don't understand, and so it's like things like that. That's for me why like it's just hard for me to understand the film, because I'm just like, I don't understand how you could just like create a translation for a language that you have no proof and no way of knowing if it's correct. It just hurts my brain.
Yeah.
You should watch the movie, what was it, Silence? Yeah, The Silence by Martin Scorsese, where they're like, look at there. This is their translation for God. They worship the sun, you know? It's crazy. If you want to talk about language barriers, I think that's a good movie for it. But
Well, it's such an amazing idea, though,
Pretty
that
crazy.
like language, if you start to learn something, it'll actually change the way you think. Like, that blows my mind. Like, I don't know, just...
And then the fact that you add in time in there and then it's
like,
not linear.
It could be as weird as hosting a movie podcast and having your brothers change your mind about a particular movie, you know?
Yeah.
With the Nicolas Cage persuasion, you know? Happens
can.
to the best of us.
It's inevitable.
But
Cameron's conversion.
It will come to everyone.
No, I changed Ty's mind last week. Thought that's what he was referring to, but I'm never changing my mind on that shiz.
you did change my mind to, yes, whether or not Hugh Jackman was the protagonist in Prisoners as opposed to Loki. But I still knew it was between the two of them. It wasn't the old lady. You tried to slip that in
I love
there.
that you refer to Hugh Jackman by his name and not his character name, and then
Loki.
Jake Gyllenhaal by Loki.
Well, it's easier to call him Huge Jacked Man. I don't know why.
Because every time you say Loki, I keep thinking of the TV show Loki, and I'm like, puts a bad taste in my
Ty
mouth.
just doesn't want to give credit to the greatest actor of all time, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal. He's got a long name. He's got a really long name. I don't know how to spell it either. My autocorrect knows how to spell his name.
Gyllenhaal.
Gilead. I don't know.
Just try to spell Gilligan's
Gillyweed.
Island. Just try to spell Gilligan's Island, and you
It's the seaweed that makes you breathe underwater in Harry Potter. So,
Well, and then I
everybody,
also wanted to say just,
back on track.
and I asked my college professor this because he taught me film and he graduated it and stuff, and he's a very wise man. But I was like, why were there all these over the shoulder shots? And he's like, I don't remember any of that. Because I told him, like, if you notice, there's a lot of that, and my interpretation of that is just like, as I was watching all these over the shoulder shots, like, obviously you're seeing what she's seeing, but also the nice part about that is you're kind of projecting your thoughts and feelings onto her. And I just love that, because you're like, oh, I wonder what she's feeling. And I'm like, this is what I'm feeling. So it's kind of fun. Like, the director lets you kind
It's
of...
a different experience for every viewer.
Yes, and he lets you decide how to feel. And I just feel like too many people are, like, a lot of Disney shows, I know I bash Disney too much on here, but they're just like, this is the
No,
message.
you can never bash
and
Disney too
this
much.
is how you need to feel. and,
You don't understand my films.
but
You're too stupid.
Get on stage and make me money.
But you literally can interpret it how you want. And, like, obviously it still has the commander, who I think is so, goodness gracious. But it makes so much sense. Like, if aliens came, like, I mean, they're just like, when are we going to pull the trigger? They said murder. Like, we need to go attack them. Like, weapon, let's kill them all.
Yeah,
Like,
they overreact.
I love it. It's so good. This movie, like...
See, and
Oh, good.
I was just
gonna.
sorry,
yeah.
go,
Oh,
Ty,
I
go,
was
Ty.
just gonna...
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Cameron, you go.
I was just saying it's such an interesting idea too, and a concept of like how would you interact with aliens that did come down? It's like, do you show force? Do you come out trying to communicate? Because it's like, what if they were like just trying to learn your language, just like, or they were just like wasting time so that they could like harvest all the resources and locate all the best resources? Like, you have no idea what to do, and so it's like, just that deciding factor of like what you do first is so important and key. And that's why, like, obviously, like another thing that I thought was super cool is how they made Jeremy Renner and Amy Adams just look so normal. Like, they didn't look very good looking. They just looked like she looked like a freaking what? Like,
Amy Adams, very unattractive.
He has like the glasses that our dad had when our dad was like 35, and then Amy Adams has like the super typical like English teacher like over sweater, and like they just both look like their role, and I was just like, holy fudge! Like they get
Cameron's
lost in the role.
if aliens showed up, I'd freaking get some Rachel McAdams. I'd get Margot Robbie, all in bikini tops going up there. Hey, this is the best that humankind has to offer, huh?
Yeah, the three I would offer is
you
Jake
understand my
Gyllenhaal,
language?
Margot Robbie and Rachel McAdams. I say, take them and exalt them. We love you.
Aliens are like, are you trying to pimp these women out? No. We just come in peace.
Yeah, I'll be like
My
Will
goodness,
Ferrell and
Cameron.
other guys.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
like a
gonna
pimp.
say I'm going to put my money on Jeremy Renner and Amy Adams over Cameron any day, though. Any day. I would take those odds 1,000,000-1. I don't think I would ever trust Cameron to go communicate to aliens and explain to them what human life is.
It's funny.
Human.
It's funny.
Human.
It's funny that you say that, Ty, because all the
Bro.
Brazilians, what's it called? They would always talk to the other Americans, and they'd always say, Elder Mickle's English is the hardest to understand, because I would always speak in like super slang, like, what the fudge am I watching? My eyes about to explode, like I'm pooping on my pants.
Right.
And they're
Yeah.
like, what
They're
the
like,
fudge
how
is
do I
he saying?
explain?
And then people are like trying to
Like-
explain to him like what it means.
Like,
My eyes are
he
exploding out
believes
of my
that his
head.
eyes are going to explode. It's like, wait, but that doesn't make any sense. Like, is he in great pain?
Yeah, it means what he saw is really cool. And they're like, what?
Yeah, that is hilarious. You would be the hardest person to translate, Cameron.
Yeah, because
You're the
they're
alien.
like, I don't know if it's your accent or what it is. I just don't really understand when you speak English. It'd be guys who like
lingo.
understood everyone else, like Utah kids who spoke English, and then I'd speak English, and they're like, yeah, that's not English.
It's because nobody speaks like you, Karen.
Wait, one
right.
interesting thing that I thought of was like, I think.
Did you think of it, or did Elise think of it, and then she's giving you this one? So you
No,
don't seem
actually,
dumb?
I did. I have a brain.
Take
Cameron.
credit for it.
I'm smart too.
I really like how every other alien movie, there's usually some kind of destruction that comes with their coming to Earth, right?
Yes.
And it's super interesting how this movie, the aliens come, but they literally make zero footprint. Like, the thing floats above the ground. They never touch the Earth. Like, they never come
False.
onto the Earth. They don't kill anyone.
False. They hit the power lines.
Oh, that's fair. They made
Yeah,
it
you
so-
That was just a mistake, Cameron. Yeah, that was just a
See, that's
mistake,
reason
Cameron.
to
You'll have to
attack.
forgive.
Kill them.
They're trying to knock
taking
out
out
our
our
power.
power.
grid.
No, they're trying to take
Didn't it kind of
over.
remind you of District 9 where it just like hovers and just stays there? I love that.
Yeah, I did get that vibe, and I just remember thinking, like, as soon as the aliens start talking,
I
you'd
should
be like,
be an army general, dude.
and you'd be like, wait, those cockroaches
And
are
you're like,
easier
Count
to
Dooku?
understand. Those
Where are
fetching
you?
prawns are easier to understand than
Fetching
this
prawn.
nonsense.
Ty, that sounds more like the Count Dooku, the aliens on Genosis.
Yeah, these monsters kind of sounded more like War of the Worlds a little bit. They're like that almost air horn, that boat horn.
No.
Yeah, foghorn.
Foghorn.
Yeah. Yeah, it did have that vibe. And then, like, the sound of, like, chub, like,
No, I don't know, but they actually said some of the sounds were rocks like moving against each other in the water.
The other thing I had to say is
cool.
I just want to another scene I absolutely loved, and just the visuals are so beautiful, is the scene where the fetching aliens save their life from the explosion.
Yes.
Dude, when it just hits the wall, and then they're just floating. I'm like,
And then
fudge.
talk about also a director with self-control, not showing the war down on the ground with those soldiers shooting. Like, this is amazing. A movie that like keeps your interest and doesn't have like all this action going on. Then again, I showed this to a bunch of people and they're all like, it's kind of boring. And I was like,
Denis Villeneuve had a smaller budget. He's like, sorry, we can't. Yeah, Michael Bay's like, wait. No, we'll skip all the other plot stuff. You make sure that those explosions are in there, okay? You do not skip out on the explosions. And then Denis Villeneuve's like, we'll just have a conversation about the aliens and the alien race. Move aside, bookworm. Michael Bay's like, yeah. He pushes down on the TNT stuff. Big kaboom.
That's the new Jake Gyllenhaal movie with Michael Bay. It's gonna be insane.
Ambulance, yeah.
I know, dude. It's called Ambulance, and it's like a heist. I mean, like an ambulance is going to be part of it.
RPGs, yeah, I'm like, what the fudge?
It's called Ambulance, but there's also a bank robbery in it. So a movie called Ambulance. I'm just trying to imagine an afternoon in an ambulance ride, and it's like, this has nothing to do with an ambulance. Oh, it's so funny. Love it. Any other nitpicks or questions you guys had? I would just argue, am I to assume that these aliens had been around for so long, and this professor's so absent-minded, didn't check her phone or anything, goes to class, and then people are like, maybe you should check, like, where's everybody else? It's like an empty classroom. I'm assuming all the students, like, found out or had family members that were like, oh my gosh, look at this guy. There's these giant eggs floating from outer space, or
I
whatever.
just kind of had that one pet peeve of like, I didn't like if some random white girl just explained to me or recited to me my wife's like last words. Is that necessarily going to be like, oh, I'm going to give away all my information and be completely just like unionized with America and just the world?
Oh, really? That made me cry. I was like, finally the country comes together, like
no.
all countries come together.
I thought it was beautiful.
They had to have China as the hero too, because otherwise Denis Villeneuve wouldn't have made his money back, domestically. So they had to make sure it was the right country.
I also thought that was funny that China was the one to decide every
And
other
I was
country.
like, oh no, this is not a biography. This would never happen in real life. China would be like, oh, I'm very glad you told me that. Yes, I'm sure to save the planet. I'll be very sure to save the planet.
See, that's my nitpick.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like that. I didn't think it was beautiful because I did think it was beautiful. I just, like Ty said, like, there's no way that China would be the first country to be like, oh yeah, we'll totally give away all of our secrets and totally just...
It'd be America. It'd be the FBI and the CIA. They'd all
Are you kidding me?
like,
it would be
here's
Russia,
all our
Ty.
trade secrets. We have no
Because they had
problem.
0 people die in Chernobyl. 6 people. Sorry, my bad. 6 people die in Chernobyl.
I'm just saying, Cameron, look into JFK's assassination, and that tells you everything you need to know about this country, man. Or at least the CIA and the FBI and everything. It's crazy, dude. It's a crazy world we live in.
His head did go backwards, and he got shot from behind.
Or no, Cameron,
Suspicious.
all you have to do is watch Suicide Squad, and you can see all the dangerous secrets that we have there,
Oh, yeah.
We funded that evil starfish.
Yeah, did you know
That was an
that's
autobiography.
actually true, yeah.
it's really happening.
That was a documentary.
This documentary. I'm just so glad that Taika Waititi's daughter can communicate with rats. Otherwise, we'd still be dealing with the starfish today.
When Cameron was talking about the dying words, I was like, I wonder if they have the translation for what she said. So I looked it up. Apparently, she says that in war, there are no winners, only widows. So those were her dying words, apparently.
That makes a little more sense of why he would turn it down, but still.
That's kind of cool.
Still, though, China would still be like, you get the fortune cookie?
He would have been like, oh, shut up, women. Would you be sorry? You're possibly too much on chemotherapy.
You sound like a Team America, the little Chinese puppet.
You're a second-rate citizen in China. Shut your fat trap. Yeah, I don't think it would go down
He
that
sounds like
way.
the South Park guy.
Yeah.
I hate Mongolians. Mongolians are worse.
Mongolians. Yeah, exactly.
If we have a racist
Yeah, that's probably what it
Mongolian.
would have been.
I'm not racist. I just hate Mongolian. Oh, Mongolians are worse.
I'm just imagining, like, okay, so real quick, who would be the worst movie character to send up in the forklift? If you guys could choose a movie character, who would be the absolute worst?
Ace Ventura.
Ace Ventura.
Alrighty then.
He'd probably start communicating with the aliens much faster than any other movie
That's
actor,
true.
I think, honestly.
He understands
Like,
animals.
Bumblebee tuna.
He'd be like this, Ty. He'd be looking at the thing and he's like... And the alien's like, what the fudge am I looking at?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's a great.
Is
That's
Why?
humanity
a good
lost?
You want me to leave so you can beat him, fatty?
Oh, no, Johnny
Saddlebags?
Knoxville from Jack A. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
John Knoxville. I was thinking like Robin Williams or something like that now, just like super over the top, or like dressed as Mrs. Doubtfire. He goes up there and he's like, human. I am a man dressed as a woman.
No, he would,
Wait a second, wait a
Ty,
second.
he would do
No,
woman and then take off the
And
clothes.
the aliens were like super
Man.
progressive. They're like, even this is too much for us. I would just say I also like the creativity, because again, very minimalist, like, but they're still very impactful. Like the shape of the spaceship, the shape of the aliens, like it's like this hand with 7 tentacles, with the cool, ink coming out like squid.
And the language
Very
is
interesting,
so
right?
cool.
Like, you wouldn't even think, how do you communicate with it? It doesn't have obvious eyes. It doesn't have ears. You're like, is it hearing us? Like, can it see us? Like, it's kind of eerie. And
I love that
think
the
movie
commander's
does a
like,
good job.
should we be teaching them our language so they can use it against us? It's like they have interstellar travel. Like, chill out, dude. Like,
Yeah, you think you
like,
have,
like our language is somehow going to help them beat
English
us.
is going to be groundbreaking for them?
Yeah. They're like, oh no, they know our language. Now they're going to use our words against us.
It'd just be so great though if the aliens were like, okay, so now we need your children. We need to bring them all to us so we can layer eggs inside of their heads or something so they can explode out of their chest when they're adults or whatever. It's like, yum, yum, yum. We need some delicious
trash.
little
Wait,
children
I
to
think
eat up.
I
It's
think
like,
the worst person to
Oh
send
my
up
gosh!
would be because you mentioned Monsters vs. Aliens before. I think the president. He goes up, plays a little music. I am awesome.
I am a brave
I
president.
am a free president.
That was voiced by Colbert. That's hilarious. I love it.
Or Morty, or Rick. He's like, get swift.
Yeah. He'd probably be the best one to send up, honestly.
Yeah.
He'd be like,
You just get high with them all.
Alien species. Yeah, I already figured out how they communicate, and they're out of here now. Got it all taken care of. Solved world
Yeah,
hunger.
Morty would be the worst. He'd be like,
Oh, jeez, man. So funny. Yeah, I love it. The thought exercise.
Elise, do you want to share really quick movies you've seen
Yeah.
lately and what you're looking forward to before we end?
Oh yeah, I've seen Time Traveler's Wife, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and The Great British Baking Show.
Surprised Ty didn't say anything about Creepy Man, stalking.
Time Traveler's Wife. Yeah. Hey, can you give me some
Why
clothes,
does he
little
appear?
girl?
That's all I'm saying. He's like, couldn't bother to find clothes or something, or leave clothes around for himself. Like, he's just like, I'll just appear to my wife in her adolescence. It's just weird. Just a weird movie. Whoever wrote that movie has a sick problem. Sick problem, man. Sick problem. Just saying, Time Traveler's Wife, just leave some clothes for yourself, you freak. Like, whoever wrote that was like, I think it'd be really compelling if he showed up in front of his wife. It's like, an adolescence. Like, who wrote this? Creepy, steamy perv. That's all I'm saying.
Every time I see that scene of him watching himself, I always think of, for some reason, Hitch when he sees the girl kissing in the rain. He's like, hey, hey. I don't know why, but
I don't even remember that scene that you're
All
talking
right, what are you
about.
looking forward to, Elise?
Are these movies I'm looking forward to?
Anything.
Anything
It
I'm
could be a
looking
show.
forward to?
Divorcing Grant.
Watching The Great British Baking Show. I'm really into that right now.
Yeah, girl.
But yeah.
Nice.
Grant, you watch it with her?
Yeah, it's a really good show.
Dang
Good
right.
man.
Fun one.
Good man. Cameron watches it.
We forgot to say if we recommend the show.
Not until I'm
100%.
married.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I don't
Yes.
think it's not upbeat as it's not a Michael Bay film, okay? So you got to sit in for a nice
Are
slow
Michael Bay's
pace.
films uplifting? Are you uplifted by seeing Megan Fox go?
Cameron, that is an image I will never get out of my head. We're all just a little bit more disturbed now. Thank you for doing that. We've, guys, do you recommend this movie? Yeah, I definitely recommend this movie. I don't need no caveat about Michael Bay. Watch the movie. I think it's enjoyable.
You know what
it's-
I listened to somebody talk about Michael Bay, and because he actually does actual explosions and stuff, there was a scene where he warned one of his guys hey, get out of the shot, we're doing a car smash into another one, and he didn't move, and so the car smashed the guy and he flew through the air, and they used it in the video. Oh
my
boy.
God.
Nuts.
All right. Well, there you
Michael
go.
Bay's insane.
Yeah, he is. Because he's fast. He just he has
He's a genius.
He has 40 cameras, Ty, and they're all high def, and he just starts shooting everything. And then somebody's and he does it quick, and if something messes up, he's loses it on them because he's military, I guess he's ex-military or something, and so he just he films like a military guy
Did
would.
he go to Nam? Is that why all the explosions? It's how
He's
he
like,
gets
I love
over
the
his
smell of
PTSD.
napalm as he's got 2 Transformers at the top of a hillside or something like that.
What?
Yeah, just holding American flags, explosions are going off in the background. America! Yeah, I get the sense he's a real patriot.
He just fights the PTSD. He's like, well, if you can't fight it, you have to embrace it.
I make explosions bigger and louder. And every night I'm tossing and turning and I
I
see
want
him in my
everyone to deal
dreams.
with what I had to deal with. I'm gonna give everyone else PTSD from my movies.
Yeah, Ty, I looked at his Instagram, and it's just tons of explosions and hot girls. That's all it is.
I don't know what man or American doesn't want that. Just explosions and hot girls. Guys, this has been Futro Movies or Futro Hidden Movie Gems. Leave us an email, futromovies@gmail.com. Tell Tell us a movie that you'd like us to review, because we might just review it on the pod. Looking at you, Beast of War. Nick, we appreciate you recommending that. Leave us a comment, like us, and
And we don't think you're sick.
you're sick, man. You're sick.
Oh, like
Yeah.
a recommendation
Whoever-
for I Saw the Devil?
Recommendation
Which we were
for-
going to do
yeah,
on the
I Saw the
pod
Devil.
anyways, and Ty had to...
Insult our one
Oh,
listener.
Ty,
Yeah.
although I do have to say...
I have no regrets. If she freaked out because of that, I don't want her as a listener. She's gone. She's dead to me.
What's really funny is, so we gained a subscriber when we posted No Country for Old Men, because they're like, oh, super
Yeah.
deep. And then when I posted Hot Tub Time Machine, we lost a subscriber.
Oh, great.
It's so funny.
Well, it's not like we're finding the deepest meaning. We're just talking about movies that...
Oh, I know. And then,
I
then we
don't
gained
enjoy
2 more,
watching.
but it was just funny, because it was like right as I posted, boom, lost one. It was like, oh, boy.
I wonder if it was the same one. Yeah. It's like, wow, I like the movies you guys are reviewing. Hot Tub Time Machine.
I'm out of here.
Or Good Burger.
Player 2 has left the game. Yeah. Or Good Burger, yeah. Leave us, check us out on Instagram, Spotify, Facebook, all the social media sites. Check us out on Patreon. This has been Futro Hid Movie Gems. All right, well, everybody, this has been Futro Hid Movie Gems signing out. Peace.
Bye.
Is that not it? What's your impression? It's my best alien.